Whenever I'm feeling down, one of my favorite things to do is watch Christian testimonies. I can vividly recall moments in my life where I felt like God had finished working in me. That's when I turned to online Christian testimonies for inspiration. These stories would reignite my faith. Hearing about all the amazing things that God was doing in other people's lives gave me a renewed sense of hope. And if you're here with a story of how God has transformed your life and a desire to share with others, you're in the right place. Just as bright lights cast shadows, your aspirations to share your story will come with fears, doubts, and imposter syndrome. If you're struggling to find the courage to share your testimony and message, stick around. I'll offer some biblical encouragement, share a little of my personal journey, and provide practical principles and steps to help you reach others with your testimony. By the end of this video, you'll learn how you can inspire others with what God has done for you and show them how He can do the same for them. Hey there, I'm Titania Page, the brand strategist, designer, and copywriter behind MadeforThisDesign Studio. I'm also a ministry leader and author. Before I began designing for Christian communicators and creatives like you, I did a lot of writing myself. I contributed to platforms like Proverbs 31 Ministries' First 5 app for almost 3 years, and I continue to write for platforms like Well-Watered Women, with several published teachings on their blog and in 2 separate devotional studies. And in my hands, I hold my own book, Come Home, A Redemptive Roadmap from Lust Back to Christ. And it's not just my story, it's my way of fighting for the hearts and minds of women and men struggling to choose God in our over-sexualized culture. And you might be wondering how I found the courage to publish a book on Christian sexuality. Well, here's the thing. When God does something remarkable in your life, it's hard to stay silent. You feel compelled to share your story because your joy isn't complete until you've shared it with someone else. However, there's a real spiritual battle for people's hearts and minds. You might be feeling unqualified, doubting your calling, or wondering if anyone will listen to you. Remember, one of Satan's main tactics is intimidation. Think of the story of David and Goliath. Goliath tried to intimidate David by pointing out his weaknesses, but David knew that God would cover his shortcomings. And the same applies to you. I think it's so important to remember that on your best days and on your worst days, you need God. You don't have to be a superhuman or a super Christian because we serve an all-powerful, limitless God. When those thoughts of inadequacy creep in, remind yourself that God's presence with you and your willingness to follow His lead will bring about your success. So my first piece of advice, don't be intimidated. God will equip you to share your message. It's not about you, but of what God can do and will do if you're obedient. Now let's address the practical side. Where do you start with publishing your book? Allow me to share some principles and steps that I've implemented in my own writing journey. Principle number 1, let the message transform you. We must allow the good news of the gospel and our own personal stories of how God has transformed us to impact our own lives first. As authors, we'll inevitably have to market our books and might even find ourselves teaching regularly through various platforms such as blogs, social media, podcasts, or YouTube to promote and sell our work. However, it's crucial to remember that not everyone should take on the role of a teacher. The Bible warns us that teachers are held to a higher standard because of the influence they have on others' spiritual lives. And I share this not to intimidate you or scare you, but to prepare you. God takes your leadership seriously, and He desires that you lead with authenticity and love for Him. Second principle is find support. Don't underestimate the people and the support groups you already have in your life, especially within your local church. I've personally been amazed at how supportive my church members have been in my writing and ministry endeavors. even going as far as supporting me financially to help make these things happen. If you're already actively serving in your church and utilizing your gifts, it's easier for them to support you because they already know your heart for God. When I embarked on my online ministry and author journey, I sought clarity through prayer and consulted with trusted church leaders. These were individuals I had a strong relationship with, and I knew that they could discern whether my path toward becoming an author and Bible teacher was guided by God or if I had simply had a bad taco. Now, I recognize that not everyone has access to a healthy church with supportive leaders, and sometimes your church leaders may not offer the guidance you need. In these cases, it might be worthwhile for you to work on strengthening your relationship with your church. This could involve more active participation in serving, church gatherings, and engaging with leaders and fellow members. Now, while loyalty to your church family is important, if God is guiding you toward a healthier church, consider pursuing that path. My point is that I want to ensure that you don't miss out on the support your church family can provide for the different endeavors God places on your heart. Principle 3, invest in your craft. As I began my online ministry, I focused on sharing the message of the Bible through my weekly blog post. However, I didn't confine myself to an echo chamber. I sought to be a part of a community of writers that dedicated themselves to learning how to produce excellent work. In Colossians 3:23, we're reminded to work heartily as for the Lord and not for men. Proverbs 22:29 tells us that skillful work leads to standing before kings and not obscure individuals. Therefore, it's not only acceptable, but encouraged to aspire to do excellent work. God desires to bless your dedication to excellence and position you before influential people and leaders, but it all begins with your desire to honor God with your gift. Remember, God doesn't want you to do this half-heartedly. This is a reminder that we should refine and develop our gifts. The effort you invest in sharing your message directly impacts how people receive it. If you approach it as a mere hobby, your audience will respond accordingly. However, if you passionately view it as a life-changing message, people will take it seriously and it will be evident in your work. The joy that comes from witnessing God's growth in your gift as you use it for His glory is indescribable. There's so much more I could share on this topic, particularly regarding resources. That's why I encourage you to subscribe, like this video, and hit that bell so that you can get access to the upcoming videos where I'll dive deeper into these aspects. All right, principle number 4, create a safe space for those who have struggled like you. To successfully sell your book, you'll need to build an audience, whether you choose to self-publish or pursue traditional publishing. Now, this process of creating your audience may seem daunting, but I want you to reframe your perspective. Think of it as extending hospitality online. You're reaching out to people who face struggles similar to yours, offering them a fresh perspective, a renewed mindset, and the solution that you've personally found in Christ. Your goal is to establish a safe online space where these individuals can access resources and engage in meaningful conversations addressing their needs. Your groundwork, which involves research and conversation with friends, equips you to identify those needs. This leads me to principle number 5, create the resources you wish you had. The most valuable contribution you can make to your audience is to develop the content you wish you had when you face the same challenges. These are the challenges that you're going to address in your book. When you invest effort in understanding your audience, create engaging content, and provide practical biblical solutions to their struggles, people will be drawn to you and your message, and their excitement will grow as they anticipate your book's release. To get started creating these resources, reflect on your own experiences. Take out a sheet of paper and outline the steps that God guided you through to reach your current place in life. Consider how God orchestrated your transformation and identify aspects of that transformation that will remain relevant and timeless for others grappling with similar challenges. In other words, envision the steps. Step 1, step 2, and so on to experience the same transformation in their lives. Now, as you reflect on the ways God worked in your life and the insights He provided during your journey, you'll uncover the mindsets that need adjustment or the misconceptions surrounding these issues. And this process will enable you to guide others through their transformation one step at a time within your content. Now it's time to write the book. If you followed the steps outlined thus far, you'll find yourself with an audience ready to support your book and significantly improved writing skills. Writing effectively is vital to ensure your message is clearly understood. It's also essential for reviews on platforms like Amazon to reflect the book's worthiness as a life-changing investment. Your commitment to producing an excellent book is an act of worship to the Lord. Just as David expressed in the Bible, he didn't want to offer sacrifices to God that costed him nothing. That cost him nothing. Writing a book is a substantial undertaking, and I strongly recommend investing in a skilled editor. And I'll provide recommendations for editors in the upcoming videos. You may also need assistance with book design, both for the cover and the interior. You gonna want that because that's kind of annoying. While many aspects can be handled on your own, remember that you'll need readers to provide feedback. The Bible and the Holy Spirit will guide your writing, while strong writing skills will ensure your message resonates effectively. All right, finally, I want you to keep in mind that you'll have to keep sharing the message. You got to understand that sharing your message requires ongoing promotion and regular content creation to sustain book sales. This may initially seem daunting, but it's important to maintain a long-term perspective. This is not a one-time effort, it's a continual journey. Now, while various creative strategies can be employed, it's crucial to recognize that consistent effort is required. You'll need to understand why you're doing this and what's at stake so that you can persevere after the initial book launch. Now, one effective approach I've employed to stay motivated is hosting online studies on platforms like Zoom using the book and the Bible together. Now, it's afforded me the privilege to witness the impact of my message on people directly and engage with my audience on a personal level, and it provides valuable insights and strengthens my connection with people in my audience. We just covered a lot, and there's so much more to learn, but don't be intimidated. Remember, everything is figure-outable. If you want further guidance and you enjoyed what I shared with you today, I encourage you to join my Brand Clarity Blueprint Workshop September 28th, where I'll show you how to build your brand around your message. This is a no-pitch, just value website. It's only $10. I'll be there to answer your questions after the presentation. If you can't join us live, there will be a replay. Reserve your spot using the link below or the link in the description. And I want to say thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.